I've officially owned my Honda Navi for exactly 1 year and 5 days, but who's counting? And in that time, we've taken her from the boring, ugly, underpowered stock state to what we have here, which I would consider to be not only way better looking, but also considerably more power. We just smoked both of those best times. This is incredible. And I'm always getting questions after the initial install and initial review videos for each of the mods, asking for follow-ups, which ones are my favorites, which ones I wouldn't do again. So today I'm going to cover all that for you. We're going to go through one by one, and I'm going to show you each and every modification that I've done to the bike. I'll go over my top 3 must-have all-time favorite mods, and then as a bonus at the end, I'll tell you the couple that I probably would not do again. Welcome back to Life of Birch. I'm Birch. Make sure to subscribe if you're new here, and we'll jump straight into it. Okay, so starting off at the front, the first thing you'll probably notice is the fact that there's no front fender, and the same can be said about the rear. That's one of the free mods that I did. I ripped off the front and rear fender, and I think it gives a super clean look, especially when you look up front and you see this beefy tire. I went with the Michelin City Grip in the front and in the rear, and both of these are considerably larger than the stock sizes, way beefier, and I'm not even gonna act like I remember what the tire sizes are. Where the hell? 120/70/10 in the rear, and I believe a 120/70 up here as well. Yep, 120/70/12 in the front. And the combination between getting rid of those fenders and adding the beefier tires, I feel like just looks so damn good. Then coming up, you'll see that we blacked out the turn signals. These are actually the stock turn signals, just with smoked lenses, and of course we did those on the front and the rear as well. Then coming up here to the hand controls, you can see that we did the smoked out hand guards as well as the tan Vans grips, or I think they're considered gum, not tan, but either way. And then of course we have the quad lock pro mount, which we have on all the bikes. And then working our way back again, I guess the next thing that we come to is the Yoshimura exhaust, looking so damn good. One of the things that I might not have pointed out in a video since the initial video with it is that once this thing gets some heat through it, the coating turns almost like a tan gold color, and not only does it look super good in general, but it almost matches the tan of the Navi perfectly. And along with the Yoshi pipe, we actually have the Yoshimura spark arrestor in the back. This thing, as it came, was just way too loud for my liking, and I like loud bikes. And even once I put their low volume insert in, it was still too loud. So Yoshimura recommended that I try out their spark arrestor, and that lowered the volume just enough to be kind of the perfect volume for me. And then on the opposite side of the Yoshi, you can't see it, but inside this transmission, we did a decent amount of work there as well. We upgraded the variator to a Molosi variator, we upgraded the clutch to an NCY clutch, and then we upgraded to the 1000 RPM clutch springs for the clutch. So just about everything you can do to a CVT transmission, we did. And then you'll see here, we did the RFY shock with the reservoir on the back. RFY is just kind of one of those like no-name El Cheapo Amazon shocks. Super inexpensive. I think it was like $35 or something like that, but the stock shock was so trash that it just had to go. And then last but not least, I think it's the last thing if I'm remembering correctly, we went with the Kemimoto fender delete right here. The stock one came down super far, had these big reflectors on it, so the Kemimoto tucks it up and keeps the back end looking real sexy, especially keeping in line with the fender delete, keeping everything clean back there. And if memory serves correct, that's all that we've done to it. So then the question becomes, which of those mods is worth my time? Which ones are the best ones and which ones should I avoid? So let's hop on this thing, go for a ride, and I'll fill you in. First things first though, is this not like the most beautiful view ever? I cannot wait until all the leaves start changing too, so you look out and it's all orange. You can see hopefully a couple of them changing over there, but when fall gets in full swing and all of this turns orange, it is so damn beautiful. But anyway, speaking of beauty, let's hop on this beauty and get on the road. Okay, so what is the first modification that I think is an absolute must-have? One of my favorites, and these top 3 are in no particular order. I have a definite top 3 list, but I couldn't decide like what order that top 3 was. So no particular order, but in my opinion, the 3 that I'm about to name are all musts. So the first thing that is just an absolute must in my opinion is actually a few different things, but I'm going to categorize them as just one, and that would be all of the CVT work that we did. If you're getting a Navi, that is an absolute must-have. So that's going to include the very variator, the clutch, and the clutch springs. Like I said, I personally went with the Michelin variator, the NCY clutch, and the 1000 RPM NCY clutch springs. But from what I've seen, those in particular are sold out in lots of places, and now Scooter Swap Shop has come out with the even cheaper S23, which is like their house brand variator upgrade, which is not only way cheaper than what I have, but it's also more customizable because it has different weight rollers in it. And the reason why this is the first one that came to mind is because honestly, before I upgraded anything inside the transmission, this thing was so god-awful slow that I couldn't take it lots of places, you know? I used it to get around the neighborhood, but if I wanted to go downtown or something, it was just honestly so damn slow that it felt unsafe. All of the transmission work that we did not only drastically changed that and added not only a lot more acceleration and top speed, but it was so cheap that there's no reason you shouldn't do it. I looked on the Scooter Swap Shop website this morning, and they have the kit that comes with their variator and the same NCY clutch kit that I have, and right now it's only $213 for the entire thing. I think I spent almost $300 on all my stuff, so if that's anywhere near what the Modification is, which they claim that it actually performs better than the Modification, that's an insane deal. All of the work that we did inside of the transmission improved the 0 to 40 time by 2 seconds, the 0 to 50 time by over 8 seconds, and increased our top speed by 4 miles per hour. That is a serious game changer for the price. So whereas before it could barely get out of the way of its own ass, now she opens up and she dips, baby. In comparison, it's crazy. And as we listen to her sing the song of her people through that Yoshimura pipe, that brings us to the number 2 spot. The must-have is the Yoshimura pipe. It sounds so damn good, looks so good, only weighs, I think, less than half of what the stock pipe weighs, and it's just a must. Not only does it look that good, but it added some performance too. I never checked back with you guys, but it increased the 0 to 50 speed and added 2 miles per hour on the top end. So after adding the Yoshimura pipe, the top speed on this thing is now 58 miles per hour, which is nuts. In stock form, I could only get it up to 52 if I'm remembering correctly, so that's a 6 mile per hour total increase. That's more than 10%. And now, like I said, I did have to put the spark arrestor in it to kind of get the volume where I wanted it to be, and I'm sure you can tell it's still screaming like a banshee, but nowhere near what it was. For me, the spark arrestor is a must along with that exhaust, and the figures that I just gave for the speed increases and the acceleration increases are with the spark arrestor in there as well. And it's made by Yoshimura. You know they're one of the best companies out there, and they tuned it exactly to work with, you know, the stock intake, stock jets, everything like that. So they say that there's no rejetting necessary. I didn't rejet personally, and I think it still runs great. Even if you're not looking for performance per se, just the rideability that it adds is insane. Before it could barely hold 40 miles per hour uphill. Now I can go damn near anywhere and it'll hold 45 to 50 anywhere that I need to go. Dude, it is so freaking beautiful. 68 degrees, sunny, poofy clouds in the sky. It just doesn't get much better than this. Okay, now rounding out the top 3 must-have Navi mods in my opinion is one of the mods that I did and I've gotten the most follow-up questions about, and that is the tires. The tires are an absolute must-have, and I didn't even plan on changing out the tires. I kind of did it out of necessity because I got a hole in my rear tire and had to swap out, and I did some research, figured out what was the best way to go. I landed on these, and man, they are incredible. What's up, brothers? The Navi in stock form honestly just felt pretty unstable and unpredictable around turns, and I think a lot of it is the tires. The stock tires are not the grippiest, and just by nature, I mean, it's only a 12-inch in the front and a 10-inch in the rear. That's not a lot to work with, and it's such a short bike that it just, I don't know, it got to feel really unstable a lot of the times, and that is not the case with these tires. They're so much beefier and so much stickier. I mean, literally just pushing on them, you can tell how much softer of a rubber compound they are versus stock, and just looking at them, you can tell how much wider they are. They add so much confidence to the ride, it's insane. Like, you can just dip this thing around without any worry, you know? Like, it's crazy, dude. They're so good. And not that I'm speaking from experience or anything like that, but they actually do really well off-road also. Oh, but this is sketchy. Oh, I don't want to misquote, but I think I got the tires for only like 80 bucks each or something like that. And then I actually put them on myself because lots of places wanted almost that much just to put them on. And don't get me wrong, putting them on myself was a total pain in the ass, and I don't know if I'd ever want to do it again, but the money savings was worth it. And for what, less than 200 bucks, including the tools to get the job done, these tires, dude, absolute must have. The confidence that they add to the riding experience on this bike are worth it alone. So that is our top 3. All of the transmission work, including the clutch, variator, and clutch springs, the Yoshimura exhaust with the spark arrestor in it, and of course the Michelin City Grip tires. Actually, I think they're the City Grip 2s. Those are the top 3 must-have mods in my opinion for the Honda Navi, and when I say the top 3, I mean it wasn't even like a thought in my mind of, oh, should these be top 3? Is there something else that should be in it? As soon as I thought top 3, those came to my mind, and there's no other mods that I've done to this bike that are anywhere close. Those are the must-haves. Oh yeah, and did I mention the fact that with this clutch and the variators, it grabs so well that you can damn near wheelie this thing now? I say damn near. The front end actually came up. I don't think I've ever gotten the front end up while I was rolling. It's always been from a stop, so that was dope. From a stop, it's a given. Yeah, you guys got to do the transmission work, dude. Now, like I said, I do want to round things off by not only giving you the top 3 things that you should do, okay, that's not how circles work, but also giving you guys a couple of things that if it were up to me are probably not worth your time, or maybe not everyone should do. And the first thing that comes to mind with that is going to be the rear shock that I put on there. I got to be honest, it's definitely an upgrade over the stock one, but it's almost too soft. The stock one was way too firm, and I put this one on and it felt too soft. I played around with the preload a little bit, but obviously preload doesn't change the actual spring rate. And personally, now that I've had it on for a little while, and honestly I don't even weigh that much either, but the spring rate just feels way too soft. And I think the reason is because it comes with 2 shocks, so I think it's designed more for like cafe racer bikes and like scooters that have 2 shocks. So we're essentially working with half of the spring rate, if that makes sense. So while I think it is definitely an upgrade over the stock rear shock, I do think that the spring rate is a bit too soft, and I plan on trying out either, I think Molosi and NCY both make shocks. What's going on here? Police line, do not cross? What is y'all doing? So yeah, whether or not you guys get that shock is kind of up to you guys. That was one of the cheap ones where it's 70 bucks for 2, so you and a buddy could split the price and it would only be 35 bucks each. So it's worth trying out, you know, but unless you weigh probably I'd say like 140 or less, it's probably worth getting something with a higher spring rate, especially if you're doing stuff like this. It's too soft. Yeah, that just clapped. And then the only other thing that really comes to mind for stuff that not everybody should do, or you might want to consider before you do it, is getting rid of the fenders. The rear fender isn't really a big deal. I've actually gotten caught in the rain, and even with the rear fender off, water doesn't fling up too much. But if you ever run a risk of ever getting caught in any sort of precipitation, any kind of agua, removing that front fender is definitely not ideal. Thank you. What a nice lady. It just flings all the way up the front of you, and I'm speaking from experience. It is not fun, especially when you got a GoPro on the front of your face, dude. You're just getting kablasted with water with no front fender. So yeah, reconsider the shock potentially, especially if you're a heavier person, and if you ever plan on being in any kind of water, it might be a given, but reconsider taking the fenders off. Other than that, I'm stoked on everything else I did. Lots of the mods were so cheap that it's like, if you end up not liking it, who cares, you know? $20 hand guards, $20 grips, stuff like that. Free and cheap mods, it's like, you might as well try it out, because what do you have to lose? But fortunately, the more expensive mods all ended up in my top 3, so have faith, they're worth it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hopefully that gave you a bit of an idea of the mods that you should do to your Honda Navi, or gave you a video to send to your significant other or your family for birthdays and Christmas, letting them know, hey, these are the things that you need to get me to make my Navi cooler. Shout out to the Patreon members for making all of this possible. I really could not be doing this without y'all, and if you want to support me through Patreon as well, check out patreon.com/lifeofburch, where you can pledge your monthly amount. It's the biggest and best. Whoa! Look at this creep, dude. What you looking at, bub? Very spooky Halloween stuff. Anyway, I forgot where I left off. Join the Patreon. That would be awesome. If you can't, you can also support the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing. I love my Navi, and I'm never getting rid of it. Love you guys. Peace.
Oh, so basic. Hope you play this. Damn, I prayed it. Nice on end. I became this. Old souls fake it. Paid those placements. Fuck shit.
And I'm still waiting on the brighter days. Been a minute, been rough many times more. And I'm kicking rocks to a sky of gray. Praying hard, talk to me before I'm done for.